As you take your seat, we are ready to move on, and I welcome you all and also those online. We are now moving to our second session, whereby we have our guest speaker, Dr. Sean Cunningham, process consultant, who will be talking to us innovation systems building local and dynamic competencies to learn and innovate. Can I have your silence as you all take your seat? Dr. Sean Cunningham is a process consultant specializing sorry for that, those online. I'm introducing our guest speaker, who is Dr. Sean Cunningham, is a process consultant specializing in innovation and socio-economic change. He advises organizations and governments worldwide on decision-making and uncertainty, institutional resilience, and strengthening innovation and learning systems. His work focuses on technological and inter-organizational change with a strong emphasis on fostering dynamic, inclusive innovation systems. He is a partner at Meso Partner, an international development consultancy, and a professor of practice with the DST, NRIF, Newton Fad Trirete Chair in Transformative Innovation at the University of Johannesburg. Dr. Cunningham also leads the Technological Change and Innovation System Observatory hosted by TIPS and served on the World Economic Forum's Global Future Council on Economic Growth and Recovery. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Cunningham to lead us in his talk. Most welcome.
Thank you, Prof. And I'm going to say now, yes, no, I know, but I'm giving him some space. All right, so my name is Sean Cunningham, and I'm going to be talking today about innovation and innovation systems. So I just want to check here at the students. Can you wave your arm if you are from the sciences, if you're from the science faculty? Wave, strong waving like this. I want to see. Okay, so it looks like the science community is over here. Where's our engineers? Anybody from engineering? No engineers. Okay. Where's our people from the humanities? Are there some humanities here also? Good to know. Can I see, where are our people studying education? Wave your arms, strong waving. What did I leave out, Prof? Commerce. Yes, commerce. Where's commerce? Okay. So I'm going to talk about, just hang a second. Wait, come back. Is it innovation mode? Is it showing as innovation, a proper presentation there? It doesn't look like it. You must go there. Okay, so why I'm asking you where you are from is step one in presenting is to know your audience. So now I have a little bit of a better view. I must tell you, I'm feeling very aware of my esteemed colleagues sitting here behind me, so I'm going to try and also every now and then look at you. So when we talk about innovation systems, it is something that goes beyond innovation. Okay, there we go. That's the slide I want, that one there. So I'm here to talk to you about innovation systems because at this moment I'm helping the university to pay attention to the innovation system that is around the university and that the university forms part of. And when we talk about innovation systems, we are not talking so much about innovation. We're rather talking about how people solve problems together. So innovation systems isn't just about how do people innovate, it's about how people solve problems, how people exchange information, how people try to do new things together. Now for our younger people, you know how difficult it is to explain to your parents what you are studying. This is very difficult, but you would probably find it easier to explain to your grandparents. So one of the challenges that we have in innovation systems is that it's very hard for the university to explain to the society how to use its knowledge. You have to sometimes show people. You see, that's what you do with your grandparents when you show them how the phone works or how something works. So in innovation systems, we ask, what is the role of the university in helping the community solve new problems? You could reinterpret what I'm saying to ask, how does the university show the society how new ways of doing things can be beneficial? I'm going to be very careful about talking about decolonizing, because you can all see I'm pretty white. But even as a white person in South Africa, we also have to deal with colonization and decolonization. So I'll give you an example. My father is English, my mother is Afrikaans. Those two families never came together because they don't really like each other. So even just in, you think we're all the same, we're actually all a little bit traumatized. In South Africa, we need one big group hug because we're all hurting because of what we've inherited. So for me, when we talk about decolonization, there's something that stands out for me, and that is the word context. What we want to try and figure out is what is needed in this context. The word context is a fancy word. You could also say, what is needed in our situation? So when we look at the region around the university, we must ask, what is needed here? So when we talk about the innovation system, we have to ask, what is going on around us? And how can what we know, what we've inherited, be useful to what people are trying to do in their everyday lives? I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but my presentation is very busy here in front of me, and I'm not doing nothing. Okay, so I want to go to a next slide, but I don't know how to control it. So I'm going to ask my student colleagues, but even my research colleagues sitting down there, to innovate. We need more than science. We need more than engineering. We also need more than the humanities. To innovate, what we need is a new imagination. My late business partner always said, people cannot plan for what they cannot imagine. So I want to challenge all of you to say our job is to help people imagine something different. We have to imagine how can we use your amazing heritage, your Zulu heritage, or whichever heritage, your traditional knowledge heritage. How can we reimagine that so that we can make it valuable in the present? In other words, how can we combine what we know with what we understand? So I want to ask my students, I want you to raise your left hand and say, in this hand is the knowledge that we have. It's the knowledge that we inherit from the university, but even from clever authors, but also the knowledge that we've inherited from our grandfathers, from our elders. So in the one hand, we have our knowledge. Indigenous knowledge, Western knowledge, even the knowledge that has never been written up. On the other hand, you see I'm sounding like an economist now. On the other hand, we have an understanding of a local situation. Innovation happens when we can bring our understanding of this situation together with what we know. And our young students and our graduates and our researchers are very important in bridging that gap between what do we know and what is needed in this space. So when we're talking of this innovation system, it's not about technology transfer or knowledge transfer. Those things are all needed, and it's part of the university's mandate. When we talk of an innovation system, we're talking about the space wherein people can try to solve problems in new ways. And when I say new ways, I'm not only saying new knowledge, because a new way could be to make some of our old knowledge relevant again, to bring something that our grandparents knew as a truth into something that exists in this moment. So I want to show you some photos. So I'm going to ask my colleague there that's controlling, can you go down to the slide that starts with the photos? Then I can show our guests some photos about examples of what it looks like to look at a regional innovation system. So you mustn't get distracted by the slides, okay? I have no clue what's showing there. No, please, can you go to the slide with the photos? Oh, I forgot about my online colleagues. Okay. Yeah, something isn't working here. Okay, so when we look at the innovation system around the university, what we have to do is we have to stop thinking like academics, and we have to think again like locals. And we have to look at what are the problems that people face in their everyday lives. What are the things where our parents, our grandparents, our neighbors, the communities that we are driving by, what are the things that's costing them money without them even knowing it? Where are people spending a lot of effort and they're getting very little return? Those are the starting points for innovation. We don't start innovation by looking where is there research funds. We start local innovation by asking where is there a problem that nobody's paying attention to. Remember that we don't always have to do research on things that are original. Sometimes we have to take things that have been tried somewhere else and we have to contextualize it here so that people here can recognize and understand those solutions. The second thing that we do when we start paying attention to what's going on around us, in our country, we have a lot of people that are trying to fix the past. We have to try and figure out who is trying to create the future. And this is not always just big business. Some of our small farmers, some of our families are trying to plan for the future. So that's a second research question is, who is busy preparing for the future? What are they anticipating? And this is why this is not an engineering or a science problem, but it's a humanities and a holistic problem. Because sometimes it's very hard to imagine what the future is going to be like. If you just look at the news every day, then we're going green, then we're going not green. Then we're going this way, then we're going that way. So we have to ask who is busy preparing for the future and how can we help them prepare? Are you winning, my friend?
Yes, I am.
I'm so glad you joined me here. A next question that we can ask when we look at the innovation system around the university is, where are people busy reinterpreting the past? Where can we reframe what we've already learned? And when I say we, I'm saying collectively. Because as South Africans, we have something, when we put a little bit of my mother's Afrikaans together with what you have, we have something that nobody else in the world have. So my question is, how can we embrace our diversity? How can we take these different things and make it useful for our people so that they don't get left behind? Because this is one of my big concerns, is that while we are talking and philosophizing and talking about these things, our communities are feeling that they are not dignified. And you know what is essential for innovation is confidence. What is the role of the university in building the confidence of our students? Can I touch something here, or am I in trouble if I touch? Okay. I'm not going to give you all the academic stuff today, okay? I'm just going to show you some pictures. Okay, so what is our role in building the confidence of our students? The confidence of the community that we are engaging in. And with community, we also mean the businesses. So we don't have community members and businesses. A lot of our community members are working in businesses or own businesses. So community is a collective word. Now, what I want to just say about innovation and innovation systems is often in the university, we talk about how to turn science into technology and how to turn technology into innovations. That is one mode of innovation. It's a very important mode of innovation. And with my colleague from the Department of Science here, I hope you're all paying attention to that mode. But there's another mode of problem solving, of innovating, and that is problem solving. That is where our parents or our neighbors or a business is trying something different. They're trying something new, and very often they don't have the tools how to do that. And a university and a student is a critical enabler of those kind of let's say, more risky ways of learning and solving problems. So as a student, even if you don't have your degree yet or you don't have your post-grad qualification, know this: your ability to bring some of the new ideas to where people are solving problems is what makes you unique compared to your and my parents. I want to show you some photos from innovation studies. My colleagues, you're missing out now. You'll have to try and see what I've done here. There's a picture of a dishwasher surrounded by a whole bunch of pipes. So one year, it was in 2010, I was doing a study with the Technology Station Electronics in Pretoria. And we visited this very modern electronics factory where they were making very sophisticated components. But they had lost a contract because they didn't have a PC board washer. A PC board washer, you take that electronic circuit and then you wash it in a prescribed manner to get rid of all the toxins that's on that board. So when we asked this company, do you innovate? They said no. We asked them, do you do research? They said, no, we don't do research. But when we went on a factory tour, we found this very funny picture. And when we asked them, what is this? They said, well, some of our engineering students asked for the keys to the workshop. And they had come up, that time it was not Google, they used Wikipedia, with a basic design of a PC board washer. And over a weekend, they converted the dishwasher into a PC board washer. And this company could then, as a result of that new competence, win a tender to make these very specialized electronics. So here's an example of a company that's saying, we don't do research, we don't do innovate, but you know what they do? They problem solve. So we must change our words sometimes. When we use our big words, industry doesn't always understand what we are talking about. My next image, I'm standing out of the way so my panelists can see. It's a dustbin, and on the dustbin you will see there's a funny cup holders on the side. It's not for coffee cups, it's for bottles. This is a picture from Germany, where in Germany, people put, what you find everywhere in Germany is that the poor people come and they collect the bottles out of the dustbins, and then they can sell that. So what a lot of people do is, what this university did was they designed a dustbin where people can put their glass on the outside of the dustbin to save the dignity of the people that have to collect the bottles out of the dustbins. Some innovations don't always have commercial value, but they can have very big social value. So there's a lot of problems that we can solve in our community if we can reinterpret the cost of that problem. So this university responded to a problem that it's undignified. They didn't go and tell the people it's undignified, you must stop what you're doing. They designed a dustbin that makes it easy for people to change the way they do things without shaming or blaming the waste pickers. So imagine what we can do for our people in South Africa. Saving energy and effort is as important as commercial value of innovations. Here I have a drawing, a photo of it's a foundry. So foundries is where they melt metal and then they make all kinds of metal products. It's quite a dangerous business. But in this foundry, what this owner of this business did was she found a way of making it possible for her foundry workers to understand the things that they are making. Because in foundries, typically what you have is you have the owner and they know everything. And then all the staff actually have no clue what they are doing. They're just following orders, which means that the staff can't help to solve problems. So what this foundry owner did, and you will hear I'm talking here, she's a woman engineer, was she said, I need my staff to understand what we are doing. Because when they understand what we are doing, they can help me save waste and reduce waste and energy consumption. And so she started taking every component, breaking it down into the drawings, and she trained all of her staff how to read engineering drawings, how to understand these drawings. And you know what happened? The company started using less energy. They had less waste. She didn't have to tell the people to save. When they started understanding what they were making, they could do that. So innovation isn't just about coming up with new designs. Innovation is also about creating a space where people can contribute. And actually, in this case, where people can ask some very basic questions without being laughed at or being scolded for asking those questions. What this lady did as an engineer, by the way, was she combined her experience of engineering with her experience as a student working in a flower shop, in a florist. Because when you're working with flowers, you have to pay attention to, is there enough water? Am I cutting at the right thing? And she realized that if she doesn't involve her staff, she's not going to make her business succeed. My last question to you is, what do we have that we can innovate with? And I want to challenge our young people here today. When you're coming to campus, when you're going to church, when you're going to sport, when you're going out, start looking at what do we have. In our one hand, what are the things that we've inherited? In the other hand, what are the things that we understand because of where we live, because of where we are working? I want you to really bring those two things together. That is where our innovation will come from. On that photo, just for my colleagues here behind me, I have a whole bunch of Lego blocks. And the Lego blocks are what are the things that we can work with. And if you have a Lego set with only 12 pieces in, you're very limited in what you can innovate. And our challenge is that our communities are very often told that they don't have much. When we describe our situation as a rural area, we're telling our people, you don't have much. And what we are doing is we're robbing from our people, because our people are rich in heritage. They're rich in understanding of the local situation. We are cheating them when we are not innovating with what our people understand. I'm showing a last slide because I also want to talk about the role of the university. I'm not going to explain to you how a graph works. If you really need help, Prof. Peter will help you gladly. But what we have is that our institutions change very slowly. And one of our challenges is that technology changes very fast. And this is not a slide about the university, although I think it might also be. Our challenge is that a lot of our existing employers are being caught offside by technologies that are growing much faster than them. Which means that as young people, we have to become much better. And I'm also still young. I'm a 52 young. We must become better, because our problem with technological disruption is a problem of how do we organize ourselves. Technology asks us to reorganize ourselves. It's not an engineering problem. It's not a technology problem. Technological disruption is a problem of imagination about how we can reorganize ourselves. Technology is asking us to create new supply chains, new talent pools. It's asking us to integrate things that have been, moved apart on an organogram into one place. If you think about it, technology is disrupting head office functions from factory functions, HR functions and finance functions and production functions. Technology is making all of these things part of the same problem. So it's a very long way of saying, as a student, as a young researcher, as a graduate, we have to pay attention to the innovations that are about how do we organize ourselves. It's not just about engineering and design. It's about imagining new ways of working and relating to each other. So I want to thank you, and at the bottom of that slide, I've put 2 links to 2 of the projects that I'm working with, and one of them I will just quickly mention. It's a project for the Department of Trade and Industry, where we are looking at technological disruption and how it's challenging our economy. And as I just said, the biggest challenge, 2 challenges is, a lot of people are struggling to imagine the future. Our universities have a critical role in this. And the second problem that we have is, it's not about buying a new technology or developing a new technology, we have a problem in South Africa with organizing new technologies into our current businesses. We have an organization problem. And our students are going to be very important in helping us figure this out, these new combinations. And for the people outside of the university, they don't know where to turn. I want to challenge this university. You have to become the address in the region where people come for new ideas. And they don't want your new shiny ideas. They want to know, how do we make the new ideas work with what we have? We have to find local solutions here. I don't know if that's the same as decolonization. You must tell me. We want to find solutions that's context specific. And we don't want to burden people with a philosophy of why we're doing it. We just want people to know that they have an advantage here in Zululand because this university is here. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sean, for such a wonderful talk that really has provoked our way of thinking in realizing that innovation system is a critical thing to think about. And the role you play in helping the university and people to know that a solution exists within them. Making utilization of the knowledge that they have and helping it, using it to help the communities in solving such problems. We really need to understand our situation that you have indicated, making it relevant, and you have provoked us to continue imagining. Can you imagine how your life would be if you don't have a cell phone? And who thought of it? Was it not through the angle of innovation? Shouldn't you feel challenged that you should also start something like that? We bring technology that we realize it is changing faster than our university are willing to change. That one, you have brought it up. You have indicated the issue of technology distraction is the source of new ideas. We have to start imagining new ways of doing, with undertaking research. And the barrier here is organization of our problems. We really need to think hard about it. You have indicated so on that. We are grateful on that. We reserve questions. And as you remember yesterday, certain questions had some prices that came with. So I'm taking note that you are also taking note for those questions you come way a bit later. Let me now invite our other speaker, Dr. Sifiwe Butelesi. She is executive manager from Moses Kutane Institute, where you'll be talking to us opportunities for innovation research available for researchers and postgraduate students. Please welcome.
Good day, everybody. Good day. Are we still here? I am standing on the protocol that has already been observed. I would like to start with a disclaimer that what I'll be presenting today will not be specific to STEM, social sciences, economics. It is just for everyone that is here today, okay? So with that said, I am tasked with presenting in terms of research and innovation and how the students can benefit from the programs that we have at the Moses Kutane Research Institute. I don't need to project my presentation. I've been given 5 minutes to present. So, ladies and gentlemen, at Moses Kutane, we are a research institute. We are under the Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs. We specialize in conducting economic research for the province. As such, we recruit graduates, we recruit students to actually work for the entity as part of our capacity building program. So the first one that I'll start with is pertaining to research. So you can apply to become a researcher at Moses Kotane Research Institute. We train you, we mentor you, we coach you, we put you through acceleration program where you are capacitated in terms of how do you conduct research. Meaningful research. Remember, we don't conduct blue sky research. However, we conduct research that addresses issues of unemployment, poverty, inequality, and any other social ills that are in our communities. We also have programs whereby we recruit data collectors. Data collectors, as you are sitting there, you can be a data collector at Moses Kotane Research Institute. So whilst you're studying, you can still work part-time for you to go and collect data, maybe in and around this community, so that you can earn a living and also gain relevant experience. How many of you guys, when you apply, you are told that you are overqualified and you don't have the relevant experience? Raise your hand. No one. No one here is overqualified and underexperienced. But what we've seen as you proceed with your studies, for an example, to do your master's and PhD, you'll find that you'll have challenges whereby institutions are asking that you need to have a specific number of years of experience for you to get employed in a formal economic sector. So it is imperative that the opportunities that become available to you guys at this point in time, you grab them with both hands, because they will actually make a feature on your CV. Do we understand that? So it is very, very important that when these calls go out, this year alone we recruited 1,000 data collectors in the province. So when those opportunities become available, I will urge you to apply so that you can build your profile and you can build your CV, so that when you finish your studies, you already have a qualification and you already have what? Work experience. We also have a program that focuses mainly on innovation and skills development. So I'm heading that division right now. So in terms of innovation, I was very disappointed, Unizulu, that we advertised and re-advertised, and we're hoping that we'll get students from this institution applying to actually form part of our grassroots innovation program, where we actually identify bright minds, innovators, SMMEs, even Mama Basemakai, people that have innovative ideas in terms of trying to solve, because we are not saying solve world problems. We are asking you to solve problems within your community. You live in this neighborhood. You know what challenges you have in this neighborhood. Then come up with solutions that seek to address those challenges. And we support you in doing that. And in our support, we don't give you money, because we know once you give a person money, guess what's going to happen? My family needs food, everybody needs this, everybody needs that. We support you in terms of making sure that we give you the necessary resources for you to be able to take your idea forward to commercialization. So next year, when we advertise for King Cetshwayo District, I am hoping, Prof, I'm hoping that we can partner and Unizulu students can also participate in that program, because it's a very good initiative. We only had one student that was from, not even one student, just one community member who actually won, and the award was presented by Ubabo Premier Ubabo Ntuli, whereby they've come up with a solution to actually grow green leafy vegetables in and around Langezwa. Because of the dryness of the area and also the sand, they determined that the green leafy vegetables don't grow well in some of the areas. So they came up with a solution whereby they are using waste from the institution to actually use that as a compost or as a fertilizer for them to be able to cultivate these green leafy vegetables. So you need to, even now, whilst we are advertising for other districts, because we are going around in all the district municipalities. We've done King Cetshwayo and we've done Zululand, so we'll continue to do all the other districts until we finish, and then there's going to be a big competition whereby innovators from each and every district will then compete for a bigger prize. Do we understand each other? And this is also to propel you and to position you to change the way of thinking, because the thinking that, yes, I was a lecturer for 7 years, so I don't want to speak, and I don't have an idea whether people are following or not. So that's why I keep asking, do you understand what I'm saying? Thank you very much. We are still here. So another program that I want to highlight, ladies and gentlemen, is the CRR program, which is commercialization of innovation and research. Everyone has spoken a great deal in terms of universities conducting very good research. But what happened to that research? Other than publications and then also being shelved in the library, what actually happened to that research? So as Moses Kotane, we have come up with a program whereby once the research has been completed and there's something novel about that research, you can apply through our CRR program to actually get support to further a prototype, the idea, or whatever product that you have developed as part of your research, and you can further get support in terms of commercialization of that idea. Isn't that wonderful? So this is how we are trying to bridge research, innovation, and technology. As Dr. Sean has indicated here, that technology is moving at a fast rate. And to make sure that you keep up with the demands in terms of technology and innovation, what we have done also, we've started establishing digital centers. Even this area, Prof, has its own digital center. There's a digital center called Umfolozi Digital Center where you are allowed to go there. It's for SMMEs, innovators, students, you name it, even community members, where you go to these centers and you get capacitated in terms of understanding the critical skills that are required in terms of digital economy. So these training courses are free. You know, everyone is talking AI, everyone is talking Internet of Things, cybersecurity, and all of those things. There is nothing stopping you from going to the center in your spare time and getting trained on such programs. Remember now, the fifth industrial revolution, it requires us to be versatile. You can't say, I am an economist, or I'm a social scientist student, or I'm a humanities student, or whatever the case might be. But what is it that you can offer that is of value to that company? Do you understand? So my PhD is in biochemistry, biotechnology, but I'm not using anything biochemistry, biotechnology in what I'm doing, because as a human being, you need to be what? You need to be versatile. You need to adapt and move with the times, move with the change. Just like you upgrade your cell phone each and every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you need to do the same when it comes to your own personal growth and personal development. Do we understand each other? Thank you. So you need to continuously upgrade your skills, and in terms of upgrading your skills, you need to do these courses. It doesn't matter which field you are from, you can do them in such a way that I'm enrolling for an AI training myself, because I need to have a better understanding and a better appreciation of how AI can actually assist me in reaching my fullest potential. So we need to do that starting from today. I mean, there are so many courses that are run online, even by the banks. Yesterday, when I was preparing to come here, I got a call from someone from Standard Bank saying, Dr. Buthelezi, do you have any students that have these particular qualifications? We have positions available, cybersecurity, data processing, data analysts. Do universities teach these things? Some of them, not all of them. So you need to make sure that you upskill yourself so that you can position yourself for these available opportunities. So they are talking automation. Banks are talking automation and robotics. They want to fill such positions. And for those positions to be filled, what needs to happen? You need to take up space in terms of that particular environment. Marry what you have with the digital skill, and the world will become your oyster. uzoba inyama, uzofunwa yonke indawo, because you have a scarce skill that no one else has. If we all have a human resources qualification in this auditorium, and then we apply for one position, there's 20,000 of us with one and the same qualification. And then I say, but I have human resources and AI. I have human resources and I can also do data processing and data analysts. Guess who they're going to take? They will take me and they won't take you. So as I prepare to end my presentation, another program that I want to highlight for you guys is the bursary program that we have. For you to qualify to be a beneficiary for our bursary program, of course, you need to be cut above the rest. You need to be an exceptional student, because we'll ask you to write, why do you think we should select you out of thousands of students at UniZulu to support? So we support honor students, and majority of our budget comes to this institution. I will say a bold figure of about 2.5 million that we've invested towards bursary program for students here in this institution. But what I find very disappointing is that once you get the bursary, students drop out of the program, and there is not even a valid reason as to why students are dropping out. The second one that I want to raise is students fail then to submit their progress report, because remember, we need to account. This is taxpayers' money. We need to account for the progress that you are making in your study. So it is imperative that you submit the progress report. We go further, Prof, we go further and we offer mentorship and coaching for the bursary beneficiaries. But students don't even attend their mentorship and coaching program. And in our mentorship and coaching program, we even invite potential employers to form parts of these programs so that we can start making those linkages in terms of saying, okay, these are the students that we have. So if you need students with these qualifications, then they can call me. Just like they called me yesterday, Dr. Pteles, do you know anyone who has these qualifications so that they can get employed? So it is important that you attend the mentorship and coaching program, because that is for your benefit, and also it is to capacitate you with relevant skills, including how do you write a publication, how do you write a proposal. Sometimes you feel that you can't ask certain questions to your supervisor because you feel the question is not smart, but we delve deeper in terms of trying to unpack concepts that you might not have a full understanding of, and which journals can you publish on, and all of those things. And we marry technical skills with soft skills so that when you go out in the world, you know how to interact with other human beings. We live in a digital era, but what is important is that we are also human beings. So we need to be able to operate at a human level. So we can't operate like robots, of course. So that is why it is important that we marry our technical skills with our soft skills. Do we understand? The last program is the cell phone repairs program that we are currently running. The call is going out next week. I'm telling you again, the call is going out next week for a cell phone repairs program. This program, we take you for 2 months. In this 2 months, we train you in terms of how do you fix cell phones, and we give you a kit, a cell phone repairs kit that you can use. We collaborate with NYDA for you to get a registered business so that you can start fixing phones in your own community, okay? And in this program, we further give you a tablet free of charge. Everything is free of charge. We don't charge you anything. If anyone says, oh, there's a program at Moses Kotane and you need to pay, you must tell them that Dr. Pteles has said you are scamming me. There is nothing at Moses Kotane that you pay for. Everything that we offer is free of charge. All you have to do is use the cell phone that you are on right now to look for the opportunities that are available, and you apply accordingly, and you wait and see the magic happens right in front of you. If you are willing to put in the work and you are willing to actually go that extra mile for you to be cut above the rest. I think I'll end there. Thank you. Oh, maybe in closing, I need an office at UniZulu because almost every month I'm here.
Let's give her a stronger clap. She knows more about us, and so We really appreciate her sharing of the opportunities that all our postgraduate students should take note of. We now move, thank you so much, Dr. Buteresi. We now move to our second session, and this one now is on to extract information from the panelists. As you can see, we have Dr. Buteresi there, Ms. Kente, Ms. Pateka, and Mr. Gobo, and we have Tule, who is from CISR, who are in our panelists. And I also may have to request to the keynote speaker and our guest speaker to be part of it. So, and the question I would ask them to discuss is what ways on which we can open doors. We can open doors for us, for our postgraduates to penetrate into the industrial research. What should we need to do, and how do we go about it? Taking advantage of the opportunities that exist within your industry, your area. Those are certain things we would wish to have. How we penetrate that. Who want to go first on that? For the sake of the online people, we start there.
Not a problem.
Sorry
Thank you,
about
Prof. Sanbonani, good morning. Is it afternoon? Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have been introduced. There was a question that I wanted to respond to earlier. A lady from Humanities Department, Social Sciences, and she was asking, research, how does it link up to, pure sciences? It definitely does, because we always say, the science that we do, who are we doing it for? And that speaks to an area of impact. There are communities, for an example, in the programs that we run at the CSIR. And we've, there's community engagements, there's a social element in the work that we do. As a result, in the 2 programs that we're running at the moment that are funded by, the United Nations, there is a DSTI as well. There is a requirement that we appoint social facilitators. So that is your humanities department. So whenever, these research weeks, these programs, combining faculties, we need to be always thinking about when we're doing the science, who are we doing this science for? Innovators, I think our speakers have mentioned that they exist in our communities. I can speak about, the natural product sector that we work on at the CSIR, because we talk about plant chemistry. So for the longest time, our GoGos will be mixing plants from their gardens, at least for mine. We never went to the doctor for as long as I can remember, up until I graduated. And then I started working. I had a medical aid, and then I had to, I started getting sick because I did not have the plants that she used to boil and made us all drink, so that we could not go to the doctor. So those things exist in our communities. So how do we then assist these communities in terms of commercializing these innovative, because that's being innovative. When our GoGos take, I don't know what you call umfino or wild garlic, that they take and they mix with the spinach or murojo. We ate that once a week. It is a very good for our, for our gut, for an example, because remember, even the reason why COVID was killing some of our family members, it was because of gut health. So if you're eating things that promote a healthy gut, you are good. You won't even get flu during the winter season. So we need to draw from those lessons from our elders. In our space, in terms of answering Prof's question, In our space, we work with knowledge holders. These knowledge holders are mostly based in our rural settings. We also work with traditional health practitioners. The CSR is based in Pretoria, but that does not mean that we're not going to respond to our mandate, and that is of making sure that the science that we do has impact for all South Africans, irrespective of where you are in South Africa. And we also work with communities. Communities will say, for an example, we have an abundance of aluferox or ikhala. I think we call it, in Nguni, we call it ikhala. We don't know what to do with it. At the moment, there are people who are taking it in buckets. They are paying us 50 rands. How do we innovate around this? We know how to do some of the things. We know, for an example, how to, produce betas that are used in the pharmaceutical industry. But how do we then package it correctly so that instead of giving this plant material to a John who's sitting in the Western Cape, who's going to serve the European market with our product and get more money, how do we innovate around this? So we assist those communities. So a lot of our projects are centered around that in terms of creating value for the natural resources that we have in our communities, and we pride ourselves in the work that we do. So the question, students, ladies and gentlemen, that we always need to ask ourselves is that when we're doing research, whether it's pure science or it's human science research, it is research for who? Gone are the days of doing research for the sake of publication. There needs to be an element of innovation, and when we innovate, we bring in food on the table because there's value and there's money linked to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for those highlights. Let me call upon the panelist, Ms. Nerissa.
Good afternoon. I'm from TIA, and one of the audience said we need money. If we are going to escalate research, funding is important. I'm going to speak about 3 points. One being funding, second being the services that we need to provide, and Prof spoke about it earlier, and the DDG also spoke on that as well. And the other one that we really need is to strengthen the collaboration between academia and industry. So in funding, let me look at funding first. So yesterday, my other TIA colleagues, they really spoke on other programs that we have within TIA. So I'll focus on the seed fund, which when it started, it only focused on the university's research. But in years, we have moved, we have included the science councils, we have included the SMMEs. So we have realized a gap of an early stage funding. And Seed Fund is addressing that gap. And we assist innovators. When I talk about innovators, I'm including university-based researchers. But there is an attitude that university-based researchers need to have. And I think a lot of my colleagues have spoken on that. University-based researchers need to see themselves as innovators instead of just a research to come up with new knowledge and we publish that new knowledge. But we need to see ourselves in a light of people that are solving real problems, that we have a market out there. So when we start thinking in that way, these great ideas that we have within the university, they don't stay in the university. They go out to the market. Right now, most of the researchers, when you are asking them, who is your market? Who are your competitors? They will tell you, I do not have a competitor. My product is new. There's nothing like that outside there. Let's say you are creating a skincare product. When you say that you don't have a competitor, that is wrong. You are not thinking like an innovator. You are thinking like a researcher. You do. But you need to find what stands out about your product. So we assist innovators. So from today going forward, I want you to see yourself as an innovator. And I think the DDG mentioned one of the programs within the DSTI, the grassroots. One thing that made grassroots to grow so fast, the innovators in grassroots, they understand that we are solving problems within our communities. Therefore, their product need to reach those communities. And I believe that also, as researchers in the university, that is the mindset that we need to have. So we assist by giving, this risk-adjusted funding to translate the research output into a fundable idea that can be then further developed and commercialized. And I have to say that as much as we have a low rate of university research being commercialized, there are products out there that are from universities. I'm not going to mention the likes of Stellenbosch, but if right now you have your phone, you can Google one of our products at CUT, that it's a brewing spoon. Those who love coffee, that was the product that was funded by 2 programs within TIA, which is the Technology Station as well as the Seed Fund. It didn't get a follow-on funding. With just those, it managed to reach the market. And also, it attracted international market as well. So we do have those, and I believe that also in Unizulu, yesterday I went around, there are great products that I see that are going to reach the market very soon. And we work with the research department providing the funding. The second part that I said I'll talk on, okay, sometimes I talk too much, I'm a preacher, but I'll be very short. I'll be very short. The other part I said I'll speak about, we need, to provide certain services. We have seen the barriers. And I like the fact that Prof says that we need a technology station or an innovation hub, within our university. We have seen those barriers, and we have the technology stations, we have the technology platforms that are reducing that barrier, ensuring that we provide high-end skills that I believe are needed in us escalating research. Not only that, but also equipment. So those are the 2 things that we do provide on that service. And I'm hopeful that by the time we come back, I'll come back with the DDG next year on the 7th of October. We will have our tech station or innovation hub at Unizulu. And the last part I wanted to talk about is us strengthening the collaboration between academia and the industry. TIA Seed Fund has really identified this as a problem, and we are working on a call that is going to come out before the end of this month. We are calling for proposal whereby we are asking academias to collaborate with industry. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We are moving on, and forgive us for the time, the issue of time, but it is necessary that we cover what we are covering. Let me call upon Ms. Pateka to carry on. Tuli, sorry for that. Turi.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Sanbonani. So I just want to thank University of Zululand. I was roped into this panel session, so I'll try to keep it brief. So I am a senior researcher in the CSIR, in the Advanced Agriculture and Food Cluster. So we work with a number of research institutions and SMMEs. And I just wanted to highlight on the fact that I believe that we as research institutions have the potential to actually lead innovation-driven industries. From IKS to agro-processing and next-gen solutions, we as a country have a unique value proposition that can be scaled industrially. But one of our key problems that we have at the moment is that we need to build strong ecosystems for innovation, where research, funding, and supportive policies can come together in order to foster the relationship that we want to build with industry. Some of the areas of improvement that we need to work on include having joint ventures with industry, where we actually build funding models that are industry inclusive. Because what's happening at the moment is that we are working with SMMEs, we are working together as researchers, but we are not inclusive of industry, yet we want industry to uptake our final products. So we are inviting industry at the end of the value chain instead of inviting them at the beginning of the value chain. So some of the other hurdles that we have is all of the red tape and policies and regulations around R&D. So we really experience this especially in R&D intensive sectors where we work with IKS, especially around food safety and especially around nutraceuticals. And we find that because of the red tape around policies and regulations, it's actually hard to get these technologies and to fast track them into industry. And we really need government to play a more active role in reducing this red tape and forming a bridge between R&D and industry. We're also looking at setting up agro hubs and ISO 17 accredited labs, especially in universities, because we've identified that we need these hubs, we need these labs, because in industry we need to meet a specific standard. And through this innovation, hubs and centers, we can actually start working with industry. So we have identified, as the CSIR, that we can work with a number of research institutions, including UniZulu, to set up these agro-processing hubs, which is something that we have in the pipeline at the moment. We've also identified that we need entrepreneurship with our postgrad students and with our SMMEs. Because what's happening at the moment is that industry is speaking a different language to what researchers and SMMEs are speaking. So you need mentorship programs, you need skills around entrepreneurship to be built in order for us to be speaking the same language as industry. We also need to improve around how we sell our innovations to industry. Because what's happening at the moment is, are our innovations attractive to industry? Where industry often views academia and research as very theoretical. So what we need to do is we need to actually demonstrate that our technologies are scalable beyond the lab. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I hope you are taking note, because later on you have to answer certain questions or ask certain questions which you come with some prizes, as you did yesterday. Let me call upon, last but not the least, Mr. Sakane. Welcome.
Thank you. Sandwan. Njan. Yeah, what a beautiful day. I'm originally from Emlazi, so to look back at my province and see Mbogoto here doing their thing. Right. Okay, so yeah, igama lami nguZakheni, and I am the founding director for the Innovation and Research Commercialization Agency. And so our main role essentially is to bridge that gap between private sector, which is industry, with research. And we do that by essentially creating a pipeline that allows for the ecosystem and the adoption of the research into the sector by working with the researchers in terms of building capacity, both strategically, operationally, and providing support at an executive level. And so in terms of when we think about then how do we then bridge this gap, because I think as my previous speakers have mentioned, it's a huge gap between what we take as research and then moving it into industry. The main thing is, I think it starts with a mindset. What I've seen is that when we are thinking about research, we are thinking about research in terms of an academic perspective. We are innovators. A lot of the people who are doing research here are also entrepreneurs. They're solving problems. And so we need to start thinking a little bit differently about how we first see ourselves. And then also, as the people in this room, the TTOs, the support structures, what we are essentially doing is cultivating an environment. So we are ecosystem builders. And building an ecosystem and building and manifesting ideas and innovation is really about cultivating, sustaining, and leveraging relationships. That is the single most important job that we have as both the innovators and the supporters of innovators. And so when you are building and developing these relationships, what becomes important is first understanding the different types of relationships that you need to build. So if you are a researcher, you cannot build alone. You need support. You need capacity. And that capacity is not only going to come from your institution. You're going to need funders, which means you need to start having conversations and thinking around who those funders are. You're going to need ecosystem partners, incubators, legislators, SAPRA, the legislative bodies that are going to impact your initiative. Those are the things you need to start thinking about early on. If you are going to distribute your product at a retail, by the time you're building, you need to know who you're building it for. So the most successful innovations that I've seen starts with the end in mind. By the time they're building and developing their product, they already know and they already have an idea, they've done their research. And so they know who specifically and who are the list of people and industries that are going to take on what I'm building. And so what then happens is that you start building those relationships early on. You know, and so when you do that, then it allows you to build the systems and the processes that make it easy for you at a later stage to be adaptable. And so relationships is really, and manifesting concepts and manifesting idea is really about leveraging 5 things. You leverage interest and benefit. So how do we create systems that align with private sector? If we're looking for funding from TIA, what specific spaces is TIA interested in? What is TIA invested in the past? And how do we position ourselves in a way that we could be attractive for TIA funding? And that's where things like your processes, your systems, your compliance structures come in place. Because one of the things that you should not do as an innovator is to build, which is what the mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make. We build a solution. And once we have finished developing and building a solution, we now have this amazing solution, but guess what? We don't have the systems and the documentation and the processes that will then allow us to get what? Funding. And so you find yourself in this sort of no man's land where you are now stuck with a really great solution. You need money to take it further, but you don't have the processes and the systems that allow you to do that. Okay, so when you're building, starts with the end in mind. I think if there's one thing that you need to think about when trying to partner with industry, it's those systems. How do we build in those systems from the very beginning? And how do we build a roadmap that allows us to understand and track exactly what the process and what are the partners that we're going to need in order to commercialize a particular idea? If you know you're in a regulated industry, you need to know about who are the regulatory bodies within that space. And then the second thing is about understanding your structures and leveraging that. So are you going to register as what kind of entity? And if you're registering as that, how do you then align your systems and how you are incorporated as an organization in order to benefit from private sector? For instance, we've got BE in this country, which is quite important. That's one of the systems in which you can be able to access a lot of funding. We've got supplier development. We've got tax incentives that are set up specifically for funding research. But we're not developing enough spin-outs. And so if you don't have a company, that means you cannot, one, register a domain, website, sign up for ICOCA machine, simple basic things, a bank account, right? So you have these amazing products, but you don't have the mechanisms to be able to commercialize it. You don't have the mechanisms to be able to partner with the right people in order for you to then start earning money, for you to start validating that particular concept. And so those are the things that I think we need to get really good at. The systems and the processes, both as innovators as well as the institutions and the ecosystem builders, we need to really be thinking about is how do we fast track that process? How do we ensure that we get people and we are churning out companies, we are churning out entities, rather than churning out products and ideas and research. And in order for us to then churn out and build those relationships, there needs to be entities and there needs to be structures that need to be put in place. And then the next thing is, as I mentioned, incentives. So understanding the spaces that we're in, understanding who benefits from the work that we're doing. How do we leverage what we have in a way that we create this unique value proposition for the industry? Throughout this whole process, we're doing three things. We leverage whatever we are developing in terms of creating interest. We are also developing the structures that can sustain those relationships. And then ultimately, we are leveraging the partnerships, because what you build, you are then able to build on top of and then move it forward. And then the most important thing to understand as well is that you have to pick and create systems that allow for the right values and the partners with the right values that align with what you are building. Otherwise, you find yourself in a situation where you've got something and you've got a direction in which you want to go to. But if you are bringing in the wrong partners and the wrong ecosystem that don't necessarily align with that value, that's how you get derailed. And so we really need to think about aligning those values. And then lastly, we need to align our expectations and communication. And so as we're developing businesses, we need to create brands. We need to develop pitches. We also need to think about how do we talk and how do we communicate our innovations and our ideas. There are systems and there are structures that we need to be setting in place for that. And when you are communicating, it's a two-way street. So we need to think about the people with whom we are communicating with and what are the systems that we need to put in place. So if there's one thing that you take away from this talk, is that in order for you to partner with anyone, partnerships are a long-term commitment. It's not just about initiating and cultivating that partnership, but you have to understand what it's going to take to sustain that partnership. If you're going to develop a product and you're going to put it in the shelves of Pick n Pay or whatever, before you even go there, you need to start thinking about, how do I build a relationship? What do I need to get in? What systems do I need to get in? How do I incentivize them? What do they benefit from my partnership? And then you also need to start thinking about, once I'm in, how do I now sustain that? And this means reporting, submitting your impact reports and all of that, right? Those are the things that you need to think about. What is it going to cost you? How are you going to do it? And how are you going to maintain it? And then lastly, how do you leverage that? So now that you've secured this partnership, what's next? You always need to be thinking about what's next And who is the other partner? What's the next step? And so ultimately, when it comes to developing this ecosystem with private sector, I think it's really just about thinking ahead and understanding that you are building a pipeline. And that pipeline requires you to understand the whole value chain. It requires you to think differently and not just look at the research and the KPIs you need to meet now, but to say, how do I ensure that I start something now, but with a particular end in mind? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for those highlights. We are shifting the program slightly. The questions and answers, we let them come just before the closing remarks. For we have a speaker who is online, Dr. Maggie Maestri, who we want to bring her forward to talk to us on engaged research in institutions of higher learning. She is currently a research associate at Rhodes University. Dr. Maggie, are you ready for us?
Yes, I am.
You have the floor. Thank you.
Warm good afternoon to everyone. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? You can. Thank you. Thank you for the organizing team for inviting me to speak today. So my presentation is titled Engaged Research in Institutions of Higher Learning. After listening to all the dynamic speakers and the panel, I'm just wondering if I'm actually a misfit for today's presentations, but I hope something comes out of this. And
Maximize it. For my phone. So I wanted him to know we're not audible for now. Please hold on a minute. Please confirm that you're not using any headphones. Are you using any headphones from the side?
I can hear you.
Okay, sure. Okay, please, can go again.
Hi, hello.
Please go again.
Hello. Hi. The mic is on and